All right, Stanford Steve is here. And by the way, we just had a revelation. I've called him Steve Coughlin for 15 years now.
You've never called me by my name.
I've never said it out loud, but if everybody's like, what's Steve's last name? I say Coughlin. You just explain it to everybody at home how to pronounce your last name.
Coughlin, like caulk in a wall.
Like caulk in a wall up in Braintree.
Yeah.
But
I thought the revelation was going to be Macon was on the show.
Hey. Go away for 1 week. Easy.
No. In my past appearances, it's just been that chair's been empty.
Well, guess what we did?
I've heard financials talked about, and so good to see it. Good to have you.
We threw the book at him. We made him an offer he couldn't refuse.
Likewise, Steve. It's lovely to see you.
Awesome.
Now that the pleasantries are out of the way, Steve, hopefully he's going to join us a lot this fall. I heard you screaming about a preseason top 5 in the other room earlier.
Sure. College football. Bama, Oklahoma, Clemson, Ohio State, Georgia. This is 2021. Might as well be 2016, 2011, 2006. When does this change? I think college football is so damn healthy and awesome that it's not at risk of losing viewership or anything crazy like that. But do we need an infusion of parity, Steve? Is that coming down the pike, or with NIL, et cetera? Is this what we've got for a while?
Well, I'll start with last year. I know everybody dealt with it in their own way, but I think you got to kind of throw it out. And I know the same teams ended up in the playoff. Those 4 teams all have new quarterbacks. So when we start about breaking through, right, these top 5 teams, I think it starts with opportunity. And I think this year there's a handful of teams, and not everybody, but there's a handful of teams that have an opportunity to make the playoff. I start out west. Oregon has a trip to Columbus next week to make a big splash. Iowa State returns more starters than anybody in the Big 12. I think they're set up perfect to take down Oklahoma. ACC, you got your Heisman Trophy hopeful quarterback. He has his whole offensive line back. You got Mac Brown recruiting, all over the place. North Carolina has a path. When you look at the group of 5, Cincinnati, Heisman hopeful quarterback. We'll talk about him in a little bit. But they play at Indiana, who had their best 2 seasons of college football, I think, in the history the last 2 years. That'll be a national TV game. And Cincinnati plays at Notre Dame. Desmond Ridder is the quarterback. Luke Fickell is the head coach. He's also the head coach in college football that I wouldn't fuck with watching those wrestling videos. Like, he's A1 list. Go watch those videos.
Oh, I didn't see the wrestling videos.
His wrestling highlight film is, Chris, it's insane.
Is this from college or high school?
High school.
Do you think a 16-year-old Luke Fickell could beat up a 35-year-old Macon Gunner?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
Is Macon only 35?
Well, what is that supposed to mean? And yes, I am. What do you mean only 35? Well,
You carry yourself more elderly.
Okay, so compliment. Thank you.
Yeah.
And what? Okay, all right.
No, you took it as a compliment. Let's leave it there. 2006, the preseason top 5 was Ohio State, Notre Dame, Texas, Auburn, and West Virginia. All I'm saying is, I do think there is like a 10 to 15-year cyclical deal with this. I mean, like, if you looked at the early 2000s, there were teams that were routinely competitive on a national level that are not relevant right now. They're more grandfathered in, and, the decade before that. And I'm sure in the next decade, eventually we get out of this lull.
Virginia.
Like it.
Yeah. In Bronco we trust.
I threw around the idea of the sport being broken after last year, guys, because of, I played in the Pac-10. They haven't had success. I think they've had 2 teams make the playoff. And why the hell is somebody from Seattle going to watch anybody in the playoff when it's Clemson, Georgia, Ohio State, Alabama, Oklahoma? There's no interest there. So I think it goes back to having an opportunity. I think plenty of teams from around the country do have an opportunity this year.
Matchups, there's a bunch of them here. I see, Clemson, Georgia, Bama, Miami this weekend, obviously. As we get down the line of big marquee matchups this year, give me 1 or 2 that you would love to just teleport into the stadium to see at some point.
Clemson, Georgia, neutral site. Bama, Miami, neutral site. I'm fascinated to see Texas with Sark. They play Louisiana, who's a ranked team from the Sun Belt. You don't get that often. But just to see what Texas looks like. Everybody wanted to change. They thought they had the new hot guy in Tom Herman, who I thought was the right guy for the job at that time. Didn't work out. Couldn't win close games. Now you bring in Sark, who, a lot of people say they could have called plays for Alabama in the last couple of years with the talent that they had.
Right.
So I love Sark. I really think he's learned from previous mistakes when he's had, head coaching jobs at Washington, at USC. And, he's learned a lot from the guys. I mean, you can't surround yourself with a better group than that, what do they call it? The coaching rehab down in Tuscaloosa when, Saban just brings these guys in. Texas and Louisiana is very interesting, but I mean, we're going to talk about it. LSU going out to the Pac-12 to play UCLA, who, looks like, we could get into this, Chris. I mean, I think UCLA has a huge advantage. I mean, you look at the college restrictions now, right? They get 9 practices in full pads. That's it. 9. We had 14 straight days of 2-a-days in full pads,
right?
Yeah. And the difference between game speed and game reps. Like, I think it's a huge advantage for UCLA to come in, have a game under their belt. I know it was Hawaii; they're terrible, but LSU coming in, new DC, new OC. They had to evacuate Baton Rouge. They drive to Houston. It was supposed to be a 4-hour drive. It ends up being a 10-hour drive because everybody's evacuating also. And now you got to fly to the Rose Bowl to play UCLA. I think UCLA has an advantage there. The Rose Bowl, it's September. I mean, that's going to be pretty darn pretty. And there's going to be more people in the stands than there were last week.
That quarterback, though, for UCLA.
DTR?
Not the best, is he?
No, accuracy is obviously an issue. But I think now that Chip has it going, I mean, you look at the way he runs the offense, right? Chip always loves to run the football, and the way he does it with the misdirection and all the eye candy he'll throw you at motion and guards pulling opposite ways and all that. I think it sets up for a really good play action game. When you get those safeties' eyes in the backfield and you can create, mismatches, or I should say advantages in the pass game and creating those wide open throws off of play action. I do expect an improved year at DTR. His fourth year in the offense. He's got a great tight end. I do expect a very improved year from DTR.
And eye discipline is terrible in college compared to even the pros. So if you can get that play action game going. What about best bets this weekend?
It goes back to what I just talked about, UCLA having an advantage. I think it's huge having a game under your belt. And I look at 2 underdogs that are playing Pac-12 schools this week. I look at San Jose State, who returns probably the most experience on a team in the country on defense. And they go to USC. And I think, San Jose State was a great story last year. They got affected, obviously, by COVID, had to go to a college that's shut down now to practice, which is like 4 hours away. Starkle, the quarterback, played at 2 different SEC schools before coming to San Jose State. I think Brennan's a guy that, he was rumored to get a job all over the place last year, stays at San Jose State. And like I said, they got the guys back. I lost to San Jose State twice in college. Those guys look at in-state Pac-12 schools like it's their Super Bowl. They pull the, hey, you never recruited me, I could have played for you. Right. I think that's a huge advantage for San Jose State with the game experience. I like San Jose State to cover to 14. And the same thing with Fresno. Fresno's got a bunch of guys that, live off of not getting recruited by Pac-12 schools. And now they have a Pac-12 quarterback in Jake Haener, who was a transfer from Washington. I know they played UConn, but I look at Oregon, maybe have eyes on next week when they go to Columbus. Fresno State's got a great coach in DeBoer. I think that offense is legit. I definitely think they have enough to hang around. And one other thing about that, because I've played at Autzen Stadium and got my doors blown in there. Autzen Stadium's a lot different at night than it is at 11 a.m. local time. I think it's a big advantage for San Jose or for Fresno State. Cover the points.
Steve, you've worked up quite a lather today. It seems as though you've forgotten that we record video on this here podcast. You have a Miami towel around your neck.
No, it's not. It's an Orioles.
Oh, Macon. Loud and wrong.
Suck it.
Yeah, go Orioles. Apologize. Kiss
Steve,
it.
I want to say I'm sorry for calling your Baltimore Orioles towel a Miami Hurricanes towel. That being said, Miami giving 19.5 to Bama. Do you have a lean there?
You just got embarrassed. I love it. You're so quiet. Like that question was going to be this long, elaborate thing, and it just went, Miami.
Hey, watch this, Steve. Watch this, Steve. Fuck that question. Next question. We're on to Georgia and Clemson. Clemson favored
I'll
by
go
3.
Miami, Bama.
Fine. What's your lean, Steve?
I look at Miami, checking out the depth chart. Miami's going to average 255 pounds on their DNs. And I don't like that matchup against Bama in this run game. And people can say what they want about Bill O'Brien, the GM for the Houston Texans. But Bill O'Brien, the football coach, I think is a pretty darn good offensive mind. And I go back to what he did at Penn State and picking up the pieces of what was left there and having him win games. Christian Hadberg never played better football than when he did with Bill O'Brien. And I think it's a transition for the players that I'm not sure they're ready of or they already got a dose of in camp because Bill O'Brien's a little bit more of a hard ass than Steve Sarkisian. You know, Sark is that rah-rah guy that's going to pat you on the ass and stay positive, where I think O'Brien's going to mesh well with Saban about being a hard ass and having a lot more detail in the run game.
Godspeed to those kids in training camp down there.
I don't like the matchup for Miami. And the other side, Bama's defense is sick. They got a kid, 31, Will Anderson. I texted you guys about the other day, is an absolute freak. He's a monster.
Yeah.
And him coming off the edge and, you know, styles of play with Saban knowing he has a good defense, right? He's going to be stubborn in the run game. He's got a new quarterback coming in, and I think he's going to be, you know, want to give him a chance to get comfortable with the run game. On the other side, Miami is going to go that tempo and try and, you know, speed things up, you know, get a lot of plays in. If you don't consistently get positive plays, you're done.
Yeah.
And I think Alabama has the tools to swallow them up defensively. De'Ara King's an exceptional talent. First game off an ACL. I worry about him running around all over because Alabama got guys that could catch you.
Yeah.
And they got 11 of them on the field at the same time. So I think it's one of these older school Saban teams that relies on the run, lets the defense do their thing, 1-2 score at halftime, and then they roll you in the second half.
Another marquee matchup and a segue to Heisman talk. Clemson favored by 3 over Georgia. Win bet. Can you spell Uiagalelei?
I can't spell it, but I could say it the right way.
Can you spell Uiagalelei without looking at your computer?
Do you want to try to spell it?
Rough stretch for you. It's like Steve has you rattled.
No,
bro.
I don't.
You had the towel wrong. You can't spell Uiagalelei's
he lives in the DMV for 6 months, and now he's an O's super fan. My bad. I thought I saw an ibis.
No,
I took the girls to Towel Day at Camden Yards. That's
it's not that deep, man. It's not that deep.
I got 6 of them. I'll send you one.
Before we go to the Heisman and the Coughlin. Do you like any of these conference futures based on the odds from WinBet? We've got UNC to win the ACC at plus 1,000, Iowa State to win the Big 12 at plus 275, Oregon to win the Pac-12 at plus 250. Out of those 3, I personally answer my own question. I like Iowa State the best.
What's Ohio State to win the Big 10?
Minus 175.
I got it at minus 180 on earlier in the year, and when I look at them, Chris, I think in the past 3-4 years. When you look at a conference, I think Clemson has been in their own tier and had a bigger gap between every other team in the conference more than any other team in the country. And now I think that's switched. I think it's Ohio State and everybody else in the Big Ten. I think you got a couple teams that could play with Clemson this year. And I would take Ohio State out of those at minus 170.
So give me
a really good price, by the way, because I've seen minus like 250 other places.
Win bet, man. Hey, how about what's the smallest gap among the Power 5 conferences that people might not realize?
Pac-12.
Pac-12.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. Who's winning the Heisman this year? Macon and Stanford Steve. Give me your picks.
I have a dark horse with a high odds on Desmond Ridder, the Cincinnati quarterback, and it goes back to having the opportunity in those road games at Indiana and Notre Dame. There's a way he wins those. Cincinnati runs the table. They're getting in the playoff with those wins. So I look at him, but I want to say Howell, but I'm dying to see him in Blacksburg tomorrow, Friday night, because it feels too easy. I mean, he's got all those skill guys. The 2 running backs and 2 receivers are on NFL rosters now. So now he's going to go to Lane Stadium on a night game where I got to imagine that's a desperate-ass fan base to see a night game and not being able to go to games for a while.
They are a desperate-ass fan base.
I'm not saying this because we are who we are. Once they start going 500, which they're doing now, they don't show up. And people don't talk about it. Well, they talk about the lightning hitting Corso's car and Enter Sandman and all that bullshit. When they start losing 3, 4, 5 games a year, they don't show up. They don't show up. I don't know what else to say. Maybe you'll see.
They're 0-0 now. They're 0-0.
Well, so on the topic,
they're showing up tomorrow night. Come on.
Well, right. They're not a whole lot of masks down in Southwest Virginia.
Man,
listen, you know what I'm saying.
Okay, I like Ritter a lot. He's fun, and I like Cincy for a lot of the reasons you've mentioned. But minus 185 to win the AAC. Do you like that?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and Howell. My thing is, I think I really like Sam Howell, and I think he's got a chance to be a pro guy. But I don't think at this stage in his development, he's a guy that can just create without the talent around him and the scheme being right. I think
Understood.
To a degree, I think yes. But to win the Heisman, I think you got to be really transcendent. I don't think he's quite there. How about the Coughlin Award for the most awesome player in the NCAA? Did you give me your Heisman yet?
Like Steve said, best player on Ohio State. Give me that guy. If it's going to be C.J. Stroud, he's my Heisman winner.
Okay. How about the Coughlin Award?
Ooh, everybody. That's why I texted you guys. We're talking about Thibodeau with Laurinaitis,
yeah.
And I honestly look at Will Anderson, number 31, outside linebacker for Bama. I mean, I watch him. And just talking about collapsing the side of line of scrimmages. He's got 2 good inside moves now. If guys want to try and let him, try and get outside of him on a pass rush. He's just, I mean, you talk about what you want to look like in a football uniform.
Yeah.
It's Will Anderson. So I'll go Will Anderson for the Coughlin Award. With that. And I am going defense, and I can't believe I'm going defense. No, it's
great. This is a perfect place to slide somebody in for the Coughlin Award. And
you don't need to sound like you're from Brooklyn to say Coughlin, by the way.
Nice. You are on a terrible run. I'm from Braintree.
Coughlin.
Hey, so you know who would have won the Coughlin Award in like 2019?
Forget about it. Who?
Bryce Perkins.
There you go.
Bryce Perkins, who just made the Rams squad.
53.
They're keeping
Nice.
like 90 quarterbacks just because this kid's so awesome. So shout out to Bryce Perkins. I want to do this stadium draft that I sprung on you right before you came on the.
Thanks for letting me prep on that one.
Well, I didn't
appreciate it.
I didn't prep either. I mean, making Mr.
Okay.
Who's been to more stadiums? Because you guys are the college football know-it-alls.
I'm sure it's Steve. I traveled with UVA for 13 years. 13 years of road trips.
Of Winston-Salem.
Exactly. Winston-Salem.
I was going to say, what's the farthest west you went?
Oh, we not Autzen.
He's been to Provo.
We did a whole West Coast swing to try to.
He vomited in Provo.
To try. I vomited in Pauq City on a
Utah.
on a little day trip.
You should have.
It was very strange. I think it was an effort to raise money. I don't know how well it went, but we went to Oregon, USC, UCLA, BYU, and Boise all in the last decade.
And beat Boise.
And should have.
That's right. I had them the night.
Should have beat USC one time.
We got an apology from the Pac-10 or 12, whatever it was. About a call.
That was some bullshit. I can't remember what it was.
It was a fake punt.
Yeah, it was
guy
some
running
special
downfield.
teams bullshit. So, Steve, since you're the guest, you're going to get the first pick in the stadium draft.
LSU Tiger Stadium.
I don't think that was his pick either because you would have heard an expletive.
No. Russillo, chalky, whatever.
Oh, Russillo's the mayor of
he likes to say
Baton
he
Rouge.
is. Just ask him. That asshole. How many games have you seen in that particular Death Valley, Steve?
Oh, God, at least 8.
And it's electric.
It's incredible.
You've never been, Meg?
No.
Damn.
The whole idea, like, I remember my first time was Saban's return in 2008, and I'm just we were doing a college game day radio show, so I would get there early in the morning. We were going on at 11 a.m. local, and free parking in the tailgate area opens at 6 o'clock, and it was already filled. Like not cars pulling in, like done. Here we go, ready to go. And the game was, 12 hours later after parking, and they have a gear that not many people have.
Oh, I love that gear in them. When we go to the Sugar Bowl and they're down there, it's like,
it's just, and everybody has the styrofoam white cup, and it's not beer, it's not a White Claw.
It's not a White Claw.
It's not a White Claw.
That's good.
It's brown, and there's some ice in it.
Good.
And there's not much else.
That's the way it should be. Make, you got the second pick.
I'm going to go a different direction. Not much vibe here at this place. More of a history. Second overall pick is going to be the Rose Bowl, where the UCLA Bruins play. I have been fortunate enough to be there. Granddaddy of them all has played there. A little bit better scene than when the Bruins are taking on, say, a middling Virginia team. But, man, the history, it does have an aura of its own. It's not a raucous atmosphere by any means, but just a cool place to be. I'm happy to have it on my stadiums list.
Now, I'm kind of in a situation where Stadium 1 isn't as chalky, and I certainly could secure it here, but I think I'll get it next pick because it's a snake draft.
Yeah, you got 3 and 4, dog.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's
snake?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And how deep are we going?
4?
We're going 4 deep.
Perfect.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. I'm going to go, then, you know what, to reflect how much I love the idea of this stadium, I'm going Neyland Stadium first.
Wow.
I love the fact that there's boats. I love the fact there's a whole lot of boats just outside the stadium. People are drunk on boats. It's orange. I love orange. I love the white. I love the checkers in the
Those are end zones.
In the end zone. Yeah. I've seen a lot of them up close. I've just never. Well, I was in one in Indianapolis one time. But Neyland Stadium for me, does it disappoint? Is it as good as I imagine it is?
It's good. It's gotten passed out with the update of all the, accessories now, as far as,
they gentrified it.
The things that the average fan doesn't see, but atmosphere, the checkerboard running out through the tee. Yeah, it's awesome. The boats are pretty cool, but there's a better place with boats that hopefully I can draft.
Oh, is it Pittsburgh?
No, he's going Washington, but I won't ruin it for him.
Oh, Seattle. Yeah, that little sound up there. Good luck just raining in your styrofoam cup.
Raining.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with the Swamp. This is my chalky pick. I love that big blue wall. It's always loud. I love people doing the chomp thing, the gator bait stuff. I've always wanted to go to the Swamp. Maybe one day.
Okay. Fine pick.
Thank you.
5th overall, I'm going Folsom Field.
Ooh, yeah.
Colorado.
Is that Colorado? Yeah.
Yeah. You got the mountains. You got Ralphie running out. You got the little half track thing that says Colorado. 6 sunsets. Terrific.
Great pick.
Logo at midfield. And the thing's called Folsom Field. I'm
a big Folsom Prison fan.
You're a Johnny Cash guy.
Yep.
Haven't been there. Would like to go there. Have you been to Folsom Field, Steve?
Yeah. Everybody should see Ralphie. It's incredible.
So you better get off your butt because here comes Ralphie.
Because the kids look like pinballs, like trying to hold it. Like that thing gets rumbling, man, and nobody ever see it. They just see him run out in the field. You got to see the effort it is to now the 18-wheeler they have takes up the whole size of the driveway, and it's really where the opposing team comes out. So they literally got to get this thing on a running start to get it up. Like if Ralphie wants to stop, Ralphie's stopping, and nobody's telling him where he's going. They don't have like a contingency plan for when Ralphie's like not in a good mood. Honestly, bison are some of the most like pictures don't do it justice animals in the whole animal kingdom. You see one of those motherfuckers in person, you're like, oh yeah.
Animal lover right here. Do you think they have a sniper tranquilizer dart in the press box if Ralphie gets out of control?
No, I think that would be wrong.
Like, because the day Ralphie kills a guy is the day Ralphie goes
when
away.
Ralphie has a bad day and takes it out on the inhabitants of Folsom Field, it's going to be bad. Who's up next?
Steve.
Husky Stadium, Seattle, Washington.
You got his pick.
Loudest place I've ever been in. I mean, I know everybody talks about it. You might think it rains there every day, Chris, but that people in Seattle and Washington love when people say that because it keeps people from not coming. It scares them away. But like they have the overhangs, the noise going up off the overhang is coming back down is a real thing. And being on the field and not even having a chance of hearing your quarterback audible was one of the most fearful things I've ever had. I believe Larry Triplett was lined up against me, and I was like, oh, God.
Why do they have that figured out up in Seattle? Because they do the same damn thing up at the Seattle stadium there, the Seahawks stadium. I mean, they're acoustically like dominant in that city. Am I up?
Nope, Steve's still up.
Oh yeah, Steve's up. It's a snake draft.
This is tough, really tough. I think I could get the other one on the way back. I'm gonna go Kyle Field, College Station.
Oh, okay.
Home of the 12th man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I mean, to see what it starts as on like Thursday night when they do the yell practice and all that, like, and you know, I know I'm gonna get in trouble for saying this, but like when I went there, I'm like, who are all these Cub Scouts walking around? Like everybody's in their Cub Scout uniforms, but I'll tell you what, they're
troops,
as passionate.
Steve. They're troops.
I know. I'm just kidding.
You're gonna be like Billy Football.
Really mad. And now the add-on. I mean, that place is high level. And they're in, I mean, to me, it's who's as loud. You know, that first third down of the game to the last third down, and they bring it like not too many places I've seen. So I go Kyle Field.
You know, I'm gonna go with
Not your pick. So I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go a similar avenue here. I think, Steve. What do you think about Camp Randall, Madison, Wisconsin?
Yeah, it's super.
Oh, that's what you wanted on the way back. Huh?
That's what I wanted on the way back.
All right, nice.
I will say this.
Okay.
Not even close from a noon game to a night game.
Okay.
Like I went a couple years ago to Michigan game, noon kickoff. The students, I mean, I don't know, they got to change it. The student section wasn't filled until halftime.
Okay, well, they're getting lubricated.
So that begs the question.
Or they're just waking up from last night.
That's right.
That begs the question.
But they're jumping around by the fourth quarter.
Oh, they're there. And then, you want to see how fast that place clears out after fourth jump around? If it's a 2-score game, they're gone.
So you have said that Notre Dame is possibly an overrated stadium. It's inevitable because it's the subject of so much folklore. It's a little bit sterile compared to what you imagine.
What I've said is that it's cool to see Touchdown Jesus. It's cool to see that Basilica, Golden Dome. The concourse is so clean and pretty. But yeah, it's just your average bowl.
So I'm going the opposite of that,
and it's quiet.
I'm going the opposite of that. Okay?
Is it Chris's pick?
It is finally Chris's pick.
We need a sounder when it's my pick. Coliseum in LA. There, I think it's frozen in time. I love it. I love that it's dirty. It's decrepit.
It's a good pick,
and it's got that flame. You know, I've actually played in that stadium. My dad played in that stadium, and then I got to watch Kyle play in that stadium when he was a Duck against USC on a bye week. A lot of history, and I like it that way. I really do. All these new stadiums suck.
Can I add something there?
Yeah.
I almost, how the horse Traveler comes out?
Yeah, Robert E. Lee's horse namesake.
I almost stepped right in his shit walking out the tunnel because, they don't pick up after Traveler.
They don't pick up after Traveler?
They don't care. Because Traveler goes, opposing team goes, then they get it all nice. They bring the carpet out and all that. The Trojans run out. Be careful, opposing teams, if you're listening.
So we've had 2 animal mascot sidebars. Is there an underwhelming animal mascot that you've walked up on and you were like, this doesn't look like the picture. It doesn't look like Ralphie?
Bevo don't move much.
Really?
I mean, Bevo does not move much at all. If you notice, everybody goes to see Bevo in the corner.
Yeah,
but Bevo's cool. Bevo's hang. Bevo will hang. The corner. It's hot. Bevo got to be really strong mentally.
I'm thinking about making a pick that for sure people are just gonna kill me for. But I think it's cool. I think Harvard Stadium's cool.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the horseshoe. It's got the little it looks old. It looks like some, I don't know. I don't want to pick the Harvard Stadium.
It's sorry, Harvard. Concrete.
Oh, did you pick the Harvard Stadium?
No, I didn't. Not officially.
Okay.
Gosh.
Do we have an ACC stadium yet?
Ew.
No. And candidly, I don't know that there's a contender. I mean,
yeah.
Clemson, because
Is that
they
because when
win
you
games?
is that because when you've gone they haven't been sold out because Virginia's in town?
Jesus.
So
I watched a Stanford game last year, and I had trouble finding people in the stands. And this was at Stanford. And by the way, Virginia's top 5 home record in the country, which
the last 3 years.
I was like, well, come on now, we got to win some games on the road here. All the other teams were the teams in that fucking poll you were complaining about earlier. Man, you know what? I think I'm gonna go with that stadium in Provo.
That's a great pick.
Gorgeous.
LaVell Edwards. The backdrop.
Man, fuck it. Well,
Have you been there?
are you gonna
Have you even been there?
no,
have.
does it suck?
I have. It doesn't suck.
Does it suck?
I'm not a fan of the state of Utah.
Wow, you're not going to do a lot of numbers in Utah. This pod is not going to do numbers in Utah.
But you can't take back another pick based on Steve's reaction. That's a fine pick. The mountains are beautiful.
That he's never even been to.
Well,
How does he draft something he's never been to?
Well, I've never been to Neyland Stadium. I've never been to the Swamp. Who else did I pick? The Coliseum. I've been there. If
we know who lost this draft.
That's a good pick. It's way better than Harvard Stadium, if that's even the name of the place.
Seriously. What the hell?
Okay. I'm up. I'm not going to float other stadiums.
I'm going to go with the Army Stadium. Because I respect the troops. And
Mikey
Steve
Stadium.
doesn't respect the troops, and I'm going to go with the Army
You're
Stadium.
crazy.
If this becomes a graphic, can we
Boy
just make an
Scouts.
asterisk that there were 3 fourth-round picks from Chris? That would be terrific. Okay, then just send him a link. With my final pick, Steve nearly talked me out of it with that whole day game thing. I'll go Autzen. The engineers put a nice
Not that
little.
cool.
Hey, I've been there, bro.
I've been there too.
I've been there.
Yeah, you were
okay?
shocked. I've been there.
It's it's got that little wave. It's got that little.
Yep.
It's got a little loop-de-doo and nice atmosphere.
Yeah.
Autzen Stadium with the last pick.
Cool. What's the grass look like there?
Grass is not so good. It's got
Okay.
the dark green and then the medium green
it
alternating.
Sucks, a big fat one.
They had the old turf when I played there. Oh man.
What was your record in Autzen?
0-1, lost 63-28. I was the wedge setter on kickoff return 10 times in the game. Think about that.
Holy
they don't
shit.
even allow wedge setters anymore. We did it 10 times in one game.
And cognitively, you sound great. It's amazing to be a wedge guy and get a high-paying job like yours,
man.
where you got to exercise your brain with regularity. Hey, Stanford Steve, he's going to be back.
Do I get my last
Oh,
pick?
he gets his last pick. Oh, sorry, dude. I'm not good at these drafts.
No kidding.
Well, I mean, you're not good at identifying the towels on people's shoulders.
That's fair.
Let's not forget that.
Brian Denny, Tuscaloosa.
Okay.
Ugh.
You been there?
No, but
All right then. Just
Ali
stop.
G-
Just stop.
But
Just
on
stop.
the Ali G show, there he
There we
went
go.
down there and interviewed. Did you ever see the Ali G show? There were like fences. This was before Bama was good. It looked like they had
Thank you.
just chain
It's-
link fences on the side of the field. Plus,
Completely
there was the
not.
whole, like.
Thanks for ruining the big house, Jim Harbaugh. And
I heard the big house is quiet. Actually,
Terrible.
Like
terrible.
a big quiet house.
I can't believe you guys didn't think much of Clemson.
it's fine.
We
I
just
mean-
don't like Clemson.
They win a lot and it's loud, so that makes it good, I guess.
Yeah, and they copied LSU. Stanford Steve, he'll be back. We'll do more drafts. We'll give you a chance to win one of these. I'm sorry I took that one home.
Macon, I have one question.
Yes.
When will the ACC conference basketball tournament be released? The conference schedule be released,
Typically around now, actually.
right?
Yeah.
I'm coming down. I want tickets to the Duke game. Give me tickets.
Done deal.
You can come
we
visit us?
gotcha.
I need to go see that game there.
You need to come down this fall. You've been fucking around saying, "Oh,
Bro.
maybe I'll come down there." What do you got? Kids or job or something?
Wait like
fucking kids.
2 years when we're gonna win the national championship again.
Yeah.
Nah, come both. Come this year and then again
you
in
see
2
the-
years.
No, I'm not going to see Virginia. I'm going to see K's last tour.
Oh, fucking K's last tour.
Yeah, well,
we beat the shit. You'll
we
see
beat-
him. You'll
yeah,
see his shit
we'll be dragged
beat out
yeah.
of him
We'll
in
be
Charlottesville.
there'll be
Yeah,
poop.
what?
There'll be poop on the court.
Like,
watch when Zion threw that shit out of bounds over your head.
Oh, that was cool.
Yeah,
that was cool.
We
How many
won the
natties-
fucking national
how many
championship
natties does
that
Zion
year,
have?
Steve.
Who won the game?
We won the fucking national championship that year.
Hey, do you remember the preseason game from fuck that?
Yeah,
Fuck
I
that,
did.
man. Shit.
Who was the guest picker on game day that day?
It was me.
Love you, Steve.
Can't wait to be back, fellas.
Love
Talk
is
soon.
love.
Notice he didn't say love you. All right, buddy.